All right, what's going on, y'all? One Mad Z. It's been a minute since I've been doing anything concerning this vehicle, but been very busy. Been working a lot. So today we're going to be replacing the sandwich plate that I have on there with this one. Um, the one that's on there right now is a thermostatic sandwich plate. I might be talking a little weird. I'm wearing a mouthpiece right now, but the one that's on there is a thermostatic sandwich plate. Um, but I started noticing that the car was using a lot more oil. So I was like, that's weird to all of a sudden be using that much more oil. And so I looked under there to check and see, and sure enough, it appeared to be some leak around the sandwich plate, maybe the fittings, something like that. Sorry, bad camera work. But I've already been under here. I've already started to drain everything. I cleaned off. I sprayed some degreaser on there, some of this stuff on there, on the areas that kind of got some oil on there, because then I'm just going to kind of wipe it down and then spray it with some brake cleaner, and then it should be pretty dry and clean underneath there. But I'm going to change that sandwich plate out. I've already started to drain it, and like I said, I sprayed it, so that's why you see stuff dripping down. That's not how the oil was underneath here. It was just a little bit of oil, I guess, debris, whatever you want to call it, just around here. So when I started looking, I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't there before. And then I got under here and I was like, oh, well, there it is. So that's been drained. Now I'm going to loosen this up here. Can't really see. Need some light. I'm going to loosen this up right here. And then loosen these guys. And then we'll switch this out. And I'll clean up the hoses and just make sure the hoses themselves are actually good. So anyway, that's after about 3,500 miles. So this car was driven, but we're going to get some fresh oil in there, and then it should be good after that, after I seal up everything. Right now, well, I got that oil on my hands. I'll just go ahead and just kind of coat that a little bit. So definitely checking those fittings up here. They were loose too. I had Teflon on them, kind of hard to see. I had Teflon on them, but I guess just the heat just kind of deteriorated them. So first time running an oil cooler, so learning some things. Next time it'll be a little bit more simple. Since I'm not going to use this thermostatic one, I'm using one that's just always on. So we're going to get underneath here and we're going to loosen this up and then change this stuff out. See, all of that? That's why I was like, what's going on here? So that's been there for a little bit. So now I know. So I definitely need to make sure I watch around here. Watch around all this stuff. The lines themselves look like they're okay, but I'm going to monitor those too. All right, let's continue. All right, so we finally got that. Cut these lines off. I'm draining these oil lines, which is nice. Needs to do that. And now we got to get this thing off. Got to get that off. Yeah, so it didn't look like it was clogged or anything like that, which is nice. But that Teflon wore out, and so then it started to leak. So yeah, so we gotta change this out. I could reuse these, but I'm gonna try running a different sandwich plate and see how the car behaves with that. All right, so finally got this thing off. Definitely up on inspection. See that part right there? That is actually supposed to be rubber that already came fitted on there, and you can see it's just peeling right off. So it deteriorated with the heat, because definitely this thing saw some heat cycles during the summer, and so it wound up resorbing and shrinking, and then it started to kind of break apart because that real hot dry weather that we had during the summer down here, and it just made it open up. And so then it started to do this vapor thing, and I think that is where some oil vapor was coming from that I was noticing underneath the hood on some areas. I was like, why am I getting oil around here? Well, definitely this. So we're going to change it out. I think it's still good. The thermostat in here is still great. The function still works, but it's just getting better fittings and seal, and it'll be good. So I may throw this back on during the summer, but during the cold or whatnot, I'll just kind of convert the car back. So I'll run the oil cooler in the summertime. We'll see. I don't know what I want to do. I've got this one, so I may run that, but that one's not a thermostatic, but it's actually the one that came with the kit that I had bought. This I bought extra because it was summertime, so I wanted one. So I'm going to change these fittings out, buy some new connections, buy some new seals, and then make sure the function of the little thermostatic agent inside of there is good, and then we'll just run it again. During summertime, though. All right, so kind of catching you guys up on what we did. So while I was underneath the car, kind of taking a look at some fittings and some lines, I noticed that right there, that is a hot water coolant line, hard line that goes around the block. And I noticed that around the, oh, come on, give me that. I noticed that around the band clamp, right around there, that it had some almost like seepage around it. There we go. Good. And so I realized, man, maybe I need to take a look at that clamp. So I did. And that clamp lost its ability to hold good pressure on there. So I changed that out. Now, that's where we stand. So I've replaced it, tightened up everything, cleaned it up. The lines look okay. No oil, no pressure, obviously, has gone through there. So we'll see. I've used this special mix of soap and water that I came up with, and it does really good at breaking down grease. So I sprayed all that down, and it's cleaned up real nice. Dried up real good down here. So I did that, and then let's get underneath here. There we go. See, everywhere is sealed up nice and clean. No leaks, no nothing. Everything over here is dry. But we had to get all this right. So that's where we're at. Everything's got Teflon on it. It's looking good around there. My last step is I'm going to spray this with some 91% rubbing alcohol, kind of dry everything back out, because it still has a little bit of this solution on there, and so it kind of masks it. See, it's a little, can't really see on my finger. There we go. But anyway, so we did all that, and then make sure everything was sealed up good, which it is. So we'll see how that goes. Kind of checking around some areas. Everything's good. So I also had to replace this O2 sensor right here. Luckily, I had some on standby. I always keep extra one of these, or extra few of these, I should say. So what was happening is I was getting a lean shift on this side, this driver side, and it kept saying that it was this bank one, sensor one. So I just went and replaced it. And then on my live data readout on my screen in the car, when I was monitoring the response of the sensors after it gave me that code, one of them showed that it was functioning fine because you could see where the voltage would change on XL and decel. But on the driver side, that sensor didn't show any response at all. It just said that it was at 0.3 volts. So that means that it was stuck reading, which means it wasn't reading at all. So I had to just replace that. So we did that. Now what I'm going to do is just fill up about 6 quarts. Normally this car takes 5 quarts, but because I modified the oil pan to take an extra quart, I put 6 in here. And then being that it's a DE and it's driven a little bit, and even though it's got 77,000 miles on it, it's still nearly a 20-year-old engine. So it's going to burn oil. So running that extra quart does help give some assurance. But anyway, that's the next step. I'm not doing that today. We'll button up all that stuff down there, and then we'll fill it back up with oil and an additive that I'm going to throw in there to kind of help just the functionality of things. Just make sure and ensure, essentially, that all keeps running nice and smooth. But other than that, didn't see anything else while I was under there. I needed to get back underneath the car since it's been a couple of months since I did all that kind of look through. And very pleased with that. Definitely no major leaks of any kind, nothing like that. Just some things needed to be tightened up, some clamps and things like that, but not many. Literally, it was just like one. So, all right, y'all, that's going to be it. Sunday, I'm going to be chilling the rest of the night. Y'all take care of yourselves. Keep your head on a swivel for shizzle. One Mad Z. We're out.